Do you know that someone participating in a 401k plan through a regular job can establish a solo 401k plan through a side job? Maybe you're part of the gig economy and potentially contribute up to 58 grand in contributions to the solo plan. Now, this is an after-tax contribution. However, this only works if the company sponsoring the 401k plan and the entity are considered unrelated. That's a powerful strategy. You might say, well, why do I want to do an after-tax solo 401k? Because you're getting the write-off from the traditional 401k. Plus, that 58 grand, you could do a backdoor Roth. And that's called the Mega Backdoor Roth. Now, this is only good for those of you who know what's going on and who've saved. And then you got to get around something called the non-discrimination test. It's not right for everybody. You want to call us at 888-988-JOSH to see if you can do this. The rule prohibits after-tax contributions for higher paid employees unless lower paid employees make a certain level of contributions. So let's say we have, I don't know, we'll say Cal because he's my producer. So Cal works for somebody else. Maybe they have a 401k. And then they also have gig work through me. They're unrelated supervisors, unrelated bosses. So you don't have to have that non-discrimination test. He could get a write-off working from his employer, or he could do a Roth 401k. Then he could do the after-tax solo. Then he could convert that 58 grand to Roth and have 58 grand growing tax-free for the rest of his life. It's powerful. Now, there's a lot of differences here, and you want to make sure you're setting up the right strategy for you. Now, this is from IRAhelp.com's website called Mega Backdoor Roth IRA Strategy and Solo 401k Plan. So I'm going to give you an example of a Mega Backdoor Roth. Does this make sense to you, Ernesto? So you have somebody who has a regular job, regular 401k, but they also have gig work. Maybe you're an Uber driver. Maybe you're a Lyft driver. By the way, I had the worst experience with a Lyft driver the other day. So literally, I was driving to Children's Hospital to pick up my wife and child, bring them home from the hospital. Some creepy Lyft driver pulls up to my driveway. Some type of car will maybe remain nameless. I did not have a mask on. Okay, they want you to wear a mask. You go into the car. I was literally going to put the mask on. I was going to open the car door, set my bag in the back seat, and then get the mask on. Guess what happened? Do you know what happened, Ernesto?
You opened that door, and he said...
He didn't even open the door.
Yelled at you through the window.
Because I did not have a mask on outside.
Mm-hmm.
He literally wanted me to deprive myself of that last bit of oxygen before I go into his disgustingly smelling, red Jeep Compass. Yeah, I'm talking to you, buddy. Now, mind you, I was going to put on my mask. He was going to make a lot of money. We were driving a ways. I also got a financial tip of the day. Ditch Uber and Lyft. When you know you're driving like a far ways, like to the airport. I got Mike from King's Limo. Some great Russian guy. Call him up. I go, I want to be here. I want to go to Newark Airport tomorrow. Well, come, it's $100, 110, 130, 140, whatever it is. Guess how much? Now Mike couldn't do it. His real name's not Mike, it's a Russian name. It goes by Mike. It's probably Mikhail. But so he might have charged me between 100 and 140 to go from my house to the hospital. my house to the airport, whatever. So this is a financial tip, folks. You're going to thank me later. I go to Uber and Lyft, since this is a financial show, and I check out the Uber and Lyft. Guess how much it costs? Like $200.
That's crazy. So it's basically 40 miles, $200. It's about 40 miles. Not even.
Maybe
Not even.
Whatever. So it's now cheaper to call a limo service in most cases. But we had a miracle happen, and our baby suddenly came home Friday. So pray for him still. He's got hernias that he's got to work through, but he's now home with us after 60 long days in the hospital, fighting for his life. Thank the Lord he's okay. But so you would think the one guy would have some sympathy for me. So I literally get shouted down by the Lyft driver, but I can't hire a limo because it's too short notice. I got to go Lyft. It was like $200. Now I got a little cheaper. It was like $165. And then the Lux, like the town car, like the clean version, was like $300. Now I hate Uber and Lyft. Here's why I hate Uber and Lyft. I think it's the worst thing. No offense, Uber and Lyft. You can sponsor my show if you want to. You go into an Uber and Lyft and it smells. It reeks of chemicals and like fake cleaner, like the person used to smoke. And they have all this fake air fresheners. You're going to die of cancer inhaling the fake air freshener more than you would die of COVID. Then the guy's in a mask. I'm in my mask. I can't even breathe. You say, oh, can you roll down the window? Can you open up the vent? No, I can't. I'm cold. Then you go, pull over. I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of Uber and Lyft. Are you, Ernesto?
I think we have two different Uber kinds of experiences.
Okay.
Granted, for you were taking a long trip, a trip with your, to pick up your wife, and obviously you didn't want to drive. But, for people who don't, if you're going to have a glass of wine or two for dinner, you shouldn't be driving. Uber's a great option, but you have to choose Uber XL because then you get picked up in these nice Escalades and you're living well.
You know how much Uber XL costs?
Well, I only take it from one end of Asbury Park to the other.
To the airport?
No.
Or going to the hospital? Now, that's why I say use a limo service because they're hurting because of Uber and Lyft. So they are now cheaper than Uber and Lyft. Now, back in the day, Uber was incredible. It was dramatically cheaper. It'd be like $50 for that. Lyft was cheaper. But now that they've pretty much bankrupted all these small business owners, and it's the future of work. It's the future of life. I'm going to talk about that. What's going to happen to the economy? All these big companies are going to bankrupt. We're going to give everyone a $15 an hour minimum wage. You can all be serfs in the new America. Anyway, I'll be a little more muted. And I think we got to take a break, right? How many more minutes to the next break? We got to go for the next break now? Okay, well, we'll continue this discussion of Uber, Lyft, backdoor Roth strategy. If you want to know about the backdoor Roth strategy or the Mega Backdoor Roth or a solo 401k, now is the time to pick up the phone and chime. You get 3 ways to access us. You can call us, get a 45-minute strategy session over the phone. If you're not into Zoom or Teams, or we will schedule a secure Zoom conference call for free, one-on-one. It's not you and like 100 people. It's you and me just talking about your questions for 45 minutes. Or you get an in-person meeting where we wipe everything down, get to wear a mask, you get to see a real person. I've thought about doing these meetings in a bubble too, like
the Boy in the Plastic Bubble movie.
So instead of a mask, I'm gonna do like a plexiglass room. But that'd be even weirder than the mask, wouldn't it?
It'd be like an episode of Dexter, but no blood.
Bubble Boy financial planning. I'll trademark that. But no, really, some of you prefer to meet people in person. Some of you prefer. Now, by the way, we got to take your temperature. You got to wear. We're living in a world that is pretty scary right now. More and more people are getting Delta. So we want to protect you. And we practice safe distancing. We practice all the hygiene requirements. So number one, you can meet in person. Number two, you can do Zoom. And number three, if you're, stuck at home, you don't have Zoom, we can do a phone call. So call us at 888-988-JOSH for the free 45-minute ultimate financial game plan review. Call us now, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. We'll be back after these messages. Some people are a little bit weird about this market. I don't know about you, but people are like, well, what's going on with the stock market? Folks, we have essentially been in the same territory of the market since almost May. May, the market's around 35,000. Then it goes down, people freak out. Then it goes up, people are like, oh, now's the big bull market. Have you noticed that? Basically, the market's been trading in a sideways move since May. And we are looking very diligently at our fee-based fiduciary firm of how to be cautious in a time where inflation is rampant, where we have basically one of the greatest foreign policy crises since 9/11, in that you have all these, not nearly as bad as 9/11, but you have a very interesting phenomenon in Afghanistan. Here's why I say that. A lot of people were ignorant of the reason we went to Afghanistan because they didn't really tell people this. You know about the real reason we went to Afghanistan, Ernesto?
You mean in retaliation for 9/11, or you mean there's
that
another?
Was how it was billed.
There's another.
But I don't think people were fully honest. I don't want to say who, but I remember, and I'm not a foreign policy expert, so I may be mistaken here or there, but just my read. Wolfowitz. Do you remember Wolfowitz?
I do, yeah.
Wolfowitz wrote a paper on how we needed to establish like a base around all of these. Paul Wolfowitz, former U.S. Secretary of Defense. Now, I believe, and the Wolfowitz Doctrine was the unofficial name given to the initial version of the defense planning guidance for fiscal years 94 to 99. So this was like under Clinton. And then there was a lot of things, and many of his tenets reemerged. This was Clinton's theorists. Then reemerged under the Bush Doctrine, which Ted Kennedy said was a call for American imperialism that no other nation can or should accept. Now, I got to read this again. Did you go into this back in the day? Do you remember this?
I did. Are you referencing the mindset of nation building?
People get into that. People say it was nation. But the whole idea, I thought, was preemptive action to suppress potential threats from other nations and prevent dictatorships from rising to superpower status. So I really believe, now maybe I'm wrong, that it kind of was looked down as nation building, but I think we went there because of whatever, nation building, or I would say preemptively having a base in the Middle East around Iran and China and all these countries that, might potentially do us harm. Pakistan, they're not like a great friend of the U.S. Russia. So you have all these countries, and then Afghanistan would have been like our base should there be an emerging conflict. I think they should have always told people that. Like, this is what we want to do. Kind of looked down upon. And, we need 3,500 troops there, or 5,000 troops there for the long-term success of the world. Okay? To just keep peace. Because we see what's happening now. ISIS might be going there. Taliban is taking over. They want a seat at the UN. And not to get, political or foreign policy, that's really not my expertise. But to me, not having that base there is going to create a void that may brew problems down the road, which some of you are worried about with your portfolio.
It's relevant.
So I think, am I unpopular by saying that I didn't really think, I've gone back and forth. Some days I'm against nation building. Some days I'm for it. Now, I'm not for nation building. I don't think anybody is. But I think if it was described as, we're not really trying to build a nation. We're really just trying to prevent terrorist breeding grounds in an area of the world that it could happen. And, they had their own government. Now, people say, well, we went out and they took over in 2 minutes. Well, people are negligent of the basic fact that the Afghan forces were reliant on our air power, our engineers, people from Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin, people like, Stan Harley, who's been on the show, who was a Top Gun fighter pilot. You have people who've been in the military for years and years. They were giving counsel. And the way military is run now is drones and a lot of tech stuff. It's not like, okay, there's thousands of Afghan troops now so they can... No, they needed us to have this kind of air engineering attack. And when we uprooted our people, the 3,500 people that were there, the 5,000 people that were there, they were really mostly like engineering people, and they were there to help the Afghan forces sort of do things on their own. And they were doing literacy. They were supporting NGOs that were helping uplift women to
education,
get educated. It wasn't like they were going there and saying, the U.S., we want to force our ways upon you. They were doing things very subtly. I know people work for NGOs. They were not going there and saying, you have to be a Christian. You have to give up your Muslim faith. They weren't doing that. They were subtly trying to modernize that part of the world. And, it's pretty much done now. So what would I say to do now? I don't really know. That's not my job. But my job from a financial planning perspective is to make sure our clients are prepared. And I'll tell you right now, we have a $35,000 Dow. We are in uncertain times. We have rising inflation. It is not something where you want to go it alone and throw all your money in an S&P 500 index fund because it's done well the last year. Yes, it's done well the last year, but the next year will do as well. Well, what about fees? Well, we have low fiduciary fees, we have reasonable fees, and we can help you and we'll give you a 45-minute no obligation strategy session. So I don't know how we get the Wolfowitz doctrine. Do people talk about it now? I've not had time to listen to like political talk radio. I listen to like 1 or 2 episodes of somebody. Are people talking about Wolfowitz anymore or no? Is he like...
Not Wolfowitz, but no, the Bush doctrines have definitely, and the Rumsfeld doctrine have definitely come up again, and revisiting history of how we got there. And
they were really looked down upon as like, that was a horrible idea. But will history prove it as horrible? Will history say, you know what, it was pretty good. It was just badly sold to the American people. I think the idea was people thought we were going there to take out Osama bin Laden. And they thought, we're going there to, get rid of Al-Qaeda. And then we got rid of Al-Qaeda. We got rid of Osama bin Laden. Why are we still there? I think that was the idea. But people forget, I think we're still in Germany.
Indeed.
I think we're still in Poland. I think we're in Guam.
We're in Okinawa.
I think we're in Okinawa. Doesn't mean we're really worried about the Japanese, are we? But our presence there with NGOs, we know a former friend of ours whose father was a missionary there. And a lot of private-public partnerships happen so that people go, no, the U.S. doesn't hate us. Okay, they're not the great Satan. But realize, folks, it's a whole part of the world that believes we are the great Satan. And a lot of it is due to reasons of morality, of family, of things that, they don't like Hollywood and what that portrays, and they think that's going to corrupt their children. And in some ways, there's a critique there to be made that there's a lot of bad stuff coming out of Hollywood. So, they're being indoctrinated to hate us. So hopefully Godspeed to all of our veterans and all of our members of armed services. So let's talk about the Mega Backdoor Roth. How many minutes do we have for our segment? We gotta take a break.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I think we're at our next break. So folks, give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674 if you want the 45-minute ultimate financial game plan. We'll talk more about the Mega Backdoor Roth. Now, there's some conditions about a Mega Backdoor Roth that we'll talk about next. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial. Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. So, the Mega Backdoor Roth allows someone up to $58,000 a year in after-tax contributions to a solo 401k. The reason this strategy is so appealing, Ian Berger of IRAhelp.com writes, is it allows you to immediately convert those after-tax contributions to a Roth IRA through the Mega Backdoor Roth. That way you could fund a Roth IRA with amounts far in excess of the $6,000 limit on Roth IRA contributions. Even better, the conversion would be virtually tax-free. The distribution of the after-tax contributions are non-taxable. Although the earnings are taxable, you could defer taxation by rolling them over to a traditional IRA, or you just pay tax on the growth for that year or that month. Bear in mind that a few conditions must be met before you do the Mega Backdoor Roth. Number one, solo 401k plans must allow for after-tax contributions. We can set that up for you with our plan design team. Now, you might have set up a solo 401k through Acme Financial Institution and you've not set it up properly. We would have to amend your plan document. We could do that for you by calling us at 888-988-JOSH. The plan must also allow in-service distributions of after-tax contributions, and you would need to be able to afford to contribute the after-tax contributions. So let me give you an example. Aaron has a regular job with the Vandelay Industries that sponsors a 401k plan and has recently established a solo 401k through a sole proprietorship. Vandelay and Aaron's sole proprietorship are not considered related entities. Aaron makes sure that her solo 401k offers after-tax contributions and permits in-service withdrawals. Aaron's sole proprietorship is extremely profitable in 2021, allowing her to contribute $58,000 in after-tax contributions to the solo plan. Maybe she's carting around a lot of people on Lyft. By the way, I got a Lyft promo for driving. They're going to give me $2,000 if I become a Lyft driver. So maybe I got to quit my day job. No, not really. Erin wants to take advantage of the Mega Backdoor Roth, so she takes a distribution of her after-tax account consisting of 58,000 contributions and $2,000 of earnings. She converts the 58,000 and rolls the $2,000 over to a traditional IRA, or you can just pay the tax on the $2,000. Many regular 401k plans, non-solo, do not offer after-tax contributions. If you are one of those groups, call us and we can see if you can do that. That's because those contributions are subject to non-discrimination testing. That rule prohibits after-tax contributions for higher paid employees unless lower paid employees make a certain level of contributions. Since highly paid compensated employees are most likely to have funds to contribute, the test is difficult to pass. Without after-tax contributions, the Mega Backdoor Roth doesn't work, but solo 401k plans are exempt from the non-discrimination rule, so there's no problem with permitting after-tax contributions from those plans. So the Mega Backdoor Roth, we are here for you folks at 888-988-JOSH. If you want to figure out if this is right for you, call my office for a no obligation review, and hopefully you can achieve financial security. 888-988-JOSH. Or if you're already financially secure, you want to learn how to maximize that legacy to your kids, grandkids. You're going to lower taxes in how you structure things. Call the financial quarterback. We can help you diversify your portfolio, achieve your goals. 888-988-JOSH.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Jelensky Advisory Group.
Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and Top of the $1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jelensky or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at www.jelensky.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to affect transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions, the information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, Josh Jelensky and Wealth Quarterback do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature, is provided for informational purposes only, and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation.
Advisory services offered through Wealth Quarterback LLC.